Yeah, fast is slow and slow is fast. So if you see someone with the right skill set, but you don't have that fit for them right now, make a folder, file them away, just so you know when you're going in and trying to find that really specific skill set, you already have a pool. Yeah, we're talking about pools today. Wow. Next time we're putting on our bikinis and diving on in. And good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world, whatever time zone you are in, whatever weather you're experiencing, because we're having some wild weather these days. Behind the scenes of our podcast, Security Cleared Jobs, Who's Hiring and How, we ask our guests this very interesting question. What is their most difficult recruiting challenge, and what solutions, skills, or tools do they use to overcome that challenge? Hi, I'm Kathleen with ClearedJobs.Net with my wonderful co-host, Rachel. Hi, Rachel. How you doing today?
Oh, good. Good day, afternoon, morning.
Whatever. Good
Whatever.
morning. So we've already covered a variety of challenges. Rachel and I are just putting in our little 2 cents here and there on these challenges. We've covered in previous episodes getting people on site, finding the right culture, recruiting for roles for diverse locations, attracting talent when you can't offer the most competitive salary, and more. It's a lot of challenge.
That's an understatement. That's a lot of challenges out there. It is definitely not easy peasy always recruiting in this space. For those recruiters outside of the GovCon community, imagine you just look at the national database of security professionals and presto, your job is done. But we know it ain't quite that simple.
Yes, we are a niche industry. And in addition to trying to find talented professionals for the right culture fit, among other things, it's also important to find the right skill set, the right education level, and the right specific level clearance. I mean, a DevOps engineer with a TS is not necessarily going to help you at the fort, or an administrative assistant with a secret is not going to be able to help you at Langley.
But you know what? Where there's a challenge, there's a solution. And we have got some solutions for you, friends. But first, I think our friend John McCracken at Battelle spelled out the challenges pretty dang well. He talked about how it's a tough combination to find someone with the right skills, the right clearance, the right location, and yes, those right salary expectations. So he said you really have to attack it from multiple angles.
So, how do you do it? Let's dive in with some of these solutions that our guests shared with us.
So, a great place to start is to make sure we're getting back to the basics. So, you really need to start with building that incredible talent pipeline to make sure you have those people in the pool for tomorrow, not just today. I love all these swimming. We're diving in, we're getting into talent pools. I am thinking warmer thoughts. And also, something that makes me feel warm and cozy and wonderful is thinking about our conversation with Jada Fowler at DTSI. She said that challenging herself to be better at building talent pipelines that are more accessible. So, for example, when Jada uses tools like ClearedJobs.Net to source for candidate, she said she uses folders to save those resumes. She might find a candidate that's not qualified for a particular position that she's currently focusing on, but she can put them in this folder, label it appropriate. Example, Java developers, because she knows that position is going to come up, and then she can just simply pull out her little folder with all of that great talent that's saved in there, and presto. She also said it's about being disciplined, because when you have several positions that are open, moving fast, we're moving at the speed of the need. And so it takes extra time to file and organize those resumes for later. Take the time now because it'll pay off in the future.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's an old military slang term, fast is slow and slow is fast. So being organized, taking slow steps, if you see someone with a really great talent and the right skill set and everything, but you don't have that fit for them right now, make a folder, file them away, just so you know, when you're going in and trying to find that really specific skill set, you already have a pool. Yeah, we're talking about pools today. Wow. Next time we're putting on our bikinis and diving on in. So, yes, I am so glad that Jada mentioned the folders. It's a great tip. It's something that Bob Wheeler and Sarah McMurrow on our team do training on our monthly employer webinars, basically on how to get back to those basics and how to use a database. What's interesting about sourcing cleared candidates is sometimes the challenge is you either get too few results or too many results in your search. Just selecting fields like clearance level and zip code, that's pretty straightforward, but you really need to dive a little bit deeper into this. Get into that deep end of that pool and really use some Boolean search techniques. Things like parentheses, quotation marks, and words of and, or not. It's a little difficult here in audio to explain Boolean search without visuals, so be sure to check our show notes where we have some links to our webinars that go over Boolean search.
We also need to think about how job seekers are searching for positions when they're on those job boards. So it's thinking like our candidates, if you will. It's fun to say wizard or a guru, but these are terms job seekers just aren't typing in. So when you're writing that job posting, you're putting those pieces out there. They're not looking to be the next Harry Potter. They're looking to be your DevOps engineer. So think like the candidate. How are they looking? That's how you should be posting.
But really, you really need to think about building your pipeline for those specific skills, being clear with the talent, being clear with the title, and being sure that you're being very organized with all of your folders, all of your search techniques, all of your communications. Wow. This really reminds me of Angelica No at Millennium Corporation. Understanding that your employees that you have now might leave for another opportunity, but being sure that they're leaving on a good terms. You know that you're likely going to be using that skill set again down the road. So Angelica really talked about networking with her former employees, making sure that they feel welcome, that they know that they're always welcome to come back. Actually, Millennium has an alumni association, so they can keep in touch with former employees and say, hey, we're always happy to have you come back. Another of our guests, John McLean over at Tech Masters, also talked about, again, the value of networking with former employees. He said, if someone leaves for a better opportunity, they totally understand it. But they also realize that it's a small community and that they'll see each other at different facilities. So again, they refer to their former employees as not former employees, but alumni. They keep inviting them. They get to come to company events. They make sure that they're part of the culture. And John really said it's good business and being a decent human being. It's part of the culture that they have created there at Tech Masters. And John noticed that this has been a very rewarding strategy for them.
And something that you mentioned that just kind of brings up the next solution that I think we should dive into a little bit further is about employees. So it's talking about those employee referrals. Probably one of my favorite topics right behind resumes, but I love a good employee referral. It's the solution when you're trying to find that really tough to find talent. Birds of a feather, they flock together, and so do talent. Talent knows talent. Our friend Sarah Williamson at Blue Halo had really great advice on leveraging those employee referrals. Blue Halo offers, yes, friends, I hope you're sitting down because they offer up to a $15,000 referral bonus for existing employees. That's some serious change and some serious incentive to find great talent there. They also offer an external referral bonus of $5,000. What? That might pay for a new pair of shoes or two. More than 50% of their new hires come from existing employee referrals. People really like to help select that talent that's going to be on their team. Like we said, great talent knows great talent. So get your employees out there, leverage their networks. They can go out there and talk to their friend. They may have forgotten that they used to work with Susie Q over there, and she would be an incredible asset. Remind them, ask them to think outside of who they work with today, who they previously worked with, maybe who they went to school with, somebody they met at Starbucks, whomever that's out there. Get them to leverage their networks so they can find that great talent. if y'all will just humor me for a minute, I do want to also add in here the conversation that we had with Daryl Epley of Jacobs, where he also talked about the importance of building your pipeline and asking for referrals. We know the challenge of finding candidates with that full scope poly, and because you know what? People want them. So he said it's about really building your network and taking ownership of your personal Rolodex. For those that don't know what a Rolodex is, it's a list of all of the friends that you might have. Think of it like your contact list in your phones. You can Google it if you don't know. But he also said you have to be able to talk and understand their needs and stay in contact with them. It's not just a one and done. It's about really nurturing that relationship and making sure that even if the time is not right now, it might be right in the future. So really nurturing those conversations. So every time Daryl contacts somebody with a full scope poly, he makes sure that he's adding them to his talent pipeline. He's thinking with the end in mind and really going out there and asking for those great referrals.
So again, we're talking about specific skill sets. We're talking about specific talent. We're talking about specific clearances. And what I've always heard from recruiters is going to in-person events to really expand your reach, because that is where you're going to find the collection of people who are in a similar talent pool that you're looking for. So whether it's a cleared job fair, maybe it's a military base hiring event or an industry event, it's getting into the community, establishing your brand. You can go back and listen to another episode on establishing your brand. We've done that. But be sure you're networking, building that brand, and making sure that people in that community, by your personal interaction with them, know the kind of work that you're hiring for. This is especially important if you're not already a household name, if you're not just one of those big names. You want to build your reputation and say, these are the specific skill sets that we're looking for. Tammy Mumsey of GovCIO said, it's really difficult for her to recruit for cleared developers. But she's also mentioned that they also want to work remote or hybrid. So what she really loves is going to in-person events, meeting with these types of candidates, and then talking with them and asking them about their needs for hybrid or remote. Because as we pointed out in one of our other episodes on getting people on site, it's understanding the need for that flexibility. So Tammy shared that she loves coming to our events, and I'm so glad she mentioned that. But maybe I'm a little biased here. I don't know. What do you think about that solution?
I don't think you're biased. I think you're pretty dang smart, because that is a fantastic solution. There is so much goodness in just getting out there, shaking a hand, talking to people. That's where some of that great dialogue and understanding those needs just get even better. So I'm so glad you shared that. And I want to talk about another solution, and it's about getting creative and going straight to the source. You okay if I go there? You okay if I go creative? I'm not going to get out my smelly markers. I'm just going to get creative
Get
on something
creative.
else
Do
here.
your backstroke.
All right. Let's talk about getting creative and going straight to the source, which could be things like university or skill bridge. So I'd like to talk about our conversation with Martha Schneegans at ManTech next, because she had some really unique solutions that you don't always hear. So years ago, she had trouble finding instruction developers. They don't just grow on trees, so it was a little challenging to find them. At the time, it was a pretty new role, so she started calling up colleges and said, I think you have a program for this. Where is everyone that graduated? I can't find them, but I have jobs. She ended up speaking with some of the professors out there, and lo and behold, it paid off.
You love people who have some creativity. You go right to the source. And we have many sources in this industry for specific people. Like if you're recruiting for military skill sets, go where your talent is. Base job fairs, tap classes, and skill bridge. Think about how you get your foot in the door with those particular talent pools. There's another story that we have about connecting with universities that we heard from Kim Crawford over at Washington Headquarters Services. They actually partner with several vocational schools to solve their problem of finding more blue collar professionals. She said they're also going into high schools to look for entry level skill sets and find potential applicants for internships and apprenticeships. I think this is amazing. Again, people going into the community and finding their talent, not just sitting back and waiting for them to come to them.
So that brings us to our next solution, which is about building the workforce. If they're not growing on trees, sometimes you got to plant the seeds. Ooh, that's good. That should be a t shirt. I like that. So let's talk a little bit about building that workforce. So we have some great examples of guests that have done some of that heavy lifting, that have started to plant those seeds. One of those was John McCracken at Battelle. He said things like attacking your challenges from multiple angles. They use RPO support, aka recruitment process outsourcing, to help source needles in the haystack, in addition to their full life cycle recruiting. They also review compensation and benefit packages annually at a micro level to make sure that they're aligned with the market and that they're competitive and that they're not missing out on something that one of their competitors might be. They also have an internship program where they're able to grow and develop that talent. They're also going to sponsor individuals from security clearance processes. So it takes time. Nothing grows overnight. It's about the investment. So finding that long term solution is really about having that sustainable pipeline and building that talent you need for the future.
You know, Rachel, one of the things that I have just loved about asking this question on our podcast and really getting the variety of solutions, well, first, the variety of challenges, but also the solutions, is that we really uncover some really unique solutions. And one unique solution that I remember is our conversation with Adam Fife over at CenCore. So they don't just work with one college or university, they actually work with over 42. And if someone in that school is interested in getting a security clearance, they're automatically routed through CenCore's National Security Program. And they work with them to get their security clearance, work through the programs, and get them all the way up to a full scope poly, even while they're still in college. They give them their summer internship jobs, and by the time they're seniors in college, they've already worked for them. They've already been part of the team. But, you know, he says that we really need to be greening our workforce. We really need to be reaching deeper into those younger levels of education so that people understand that there is an exciting career opportunity here. Yes, I can hear everyone in the audience going, yeah, but do they stick around? He said about half of the people don't come out and work for them, but he says it's still a good investment. And he knows down the road that investment is definitely going to pay off, not only for CenCore, but definitely for the community in general. So we've covered some really interesting and unique and not so unique, but something that you've known all along, tips on how to overcome this challenge of finding a very specific skill set, talent, clearance level, all of the three above. What are your thoughts, Rachel, on what we've talked about today?
We've talked about an awful lot, and I'm here for all of these different solutions. There's so many ways to go out there and source and attract candidates. But one thing that I don't think we probably dove deep enough into was about the use of social media. Again, it's about building your presence in the community as a recruiter, getting your messaging out there on social media as well. If you're going to a job fair, post about it on LinkedIn. Engage your candidates and build your brand. It's never too late to get out there, start the conversation, and people understand. We talked a lot about, getting back to basics. It's that human interaction. And while it may be over social media, it's a great way to start that conversation with great talent.
Yeah, it's amazing. Social media has been part of our industry for a long time, and it really had sort of a rough entry into the community for obviously, security reasons. But I do see social media as a way of sort of integrating all of these solutions that we've talked about, the referrals, the in person events. Reach out on social media and you find candidates that you put in your folders. It is all an integration. Unlike many of the solutions that we've shared on this podcast, There's not one silver bullet. And if you think that there is a silver bullet out there that's going to give you the solution, I hate to tell you, friend, it's not. It's going to be you looking at the holistic approach on how you're going to engage talent for today, for tomorrow, for down the road. Thanks for joining us today. It's always great talking with my friend Rachel on all the ways that we can solve your challenges. Be sure to share this episode with a colleague, with your friends, and be sure to rate and review us and come back for our next episode.
And if you have solutions, be sure you let us know.
Share them.
Sharing is caring.